Hey guys, what's poppin'? Yeah, this is gonna be really quick. My name's Balale. I haven't vlogged in a while. I am sorry. I'm trying to do better. Okay, so I currently, well, for the last 3 or 4 months, I was in the process of looking for an apartment. And if you have ever looked for an apartment anywhere in the world, you know that it can be very stressful. Now, looking for an apartment in Nigeria is on a different level of stressful. The real estate market is insane here. You see all sorts of places that you don't understand why they're calling the prices their price calling, and in so many ways you have to keep asking yourself, like, why would I pay for that, for this? What am I getting from it? What is the value? Why would I live there? Just because people say it's a nice area to live, should I live there for that amount? There's so many different questions that you're gonna ask yourself. And it was so funny because while I was looking for the apartment, I began to realize, I felt like I was getting an epiphany. And the epiphany was pretty much this process of looking for an apartment is so similar to choosing and deciding who you marry. So today's video is going to be the similarities and the lessons I learned from looking for an apartment and how it relates to marriage. Do not lower your standards. When I was looking for an apartment, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew the kind of environment and the energy that I wanted, and I knew, what I wanted the place to look like, and I knew what I wanted a place I was gonna call home to look like. And there were so many different options that were given to me. Maybe some of them were like a better budget, or maybe some of them, it was an area that I preferred, but because it was an area I preferred, I felt like I had to compromise on exactly what the apartment would look like. And I just kept saying to myself, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But what I want to tell you is, when you're looking for a husband, don't lower your standard. Like, people will say, oh, your standards are too high, or you're asking for too much. Look, it's a lifetime thing. This is not like, the goal is not to leave it. Like, nobody wants their marriage to end in divorce. At least I don't think anybody does. Life happens, stuff happens. But what I would say is, do not lower your standards. And that was probably one of the first lessons I learned while looking for an apartment. Second thing, sometimes in the process of looking for an apartment, I found that there were many good options. And I found that sometimes I would find like the perfect apartment, where it would tick all my requirements. But there would be one thing that wouldn't tick my requirement. But it wasn't that I wasn't willing to compromise. It was that thing was probably one of the most non-negotiables. For example, like, I had a thing where I didn't want to live on a street that has bad roads. Like, that was a big thing to me. So regardless of how nice an apartment was, how beautiful, how, much it fits within my budget, I wasn't going to live on a street that had a bad road. So it canceled out all the benefits of it. In the same vein, make sure that when you're thinking about who you want to get married to, you write a list. And that people always say that it's not about what you can deal with, it's about what you can't deal with. What you can't deal with is the thing that you should really pay most attention to. Next thing is, don't feel backed into a corner and feel like you have to settle. I remember, like, it took me a really long time. It was even to the point where, like, I got in one apartment, I paid for it, and then I realized that it wasn't for me. So I had to get into a process of, like, not living there and stuff like that. And I remember thinking to myself, well, Bella, you've already given, you've already paid for this lease, you've already paid for it. Like, just stay there. And it was just like, my spirit didn't feel it. Like, my intuition knew it wasn't for me. Like, it wasn't until I went to the second time that I was just like, I rushed into this. And even though I had paid for it, I was willing to back out of it at the very last minute. So just because you've done an introduction, if your intuition tells you that something is not for you, please listen to it before you put yourself in a permanent position where you feel like you have to be there, and then eventually you're gonna have to unwrite what you feel like you've written, and it will cause even more damage. Because the honest truth is, if I had chosen to stay at that place where I'd already paid for the lease, if I'd chosen to stay after I went there again and I said, my spirit is not here, this place is not for me, it was just something about it that I knew wasn't for me. If I'd chosen to just sit and let me just manage it, I would have been unhappy for however long I was going to stay there. So please don't feel like, you gotta, if you come into something and you know that your spirit is not there, your intuition is strong. The other day I put something on social media and I said, don't try and explain your instinct away. Our instincts are very strong as human beings. So if you feel like something is not for you, walk away. Walk away from it, I would say. Write out a list. Be specific. Say exactly what you want. I wrote out a list. I said, I want to be happy in my space. I want a space that I feel comfortable. I said I want big windows. I said that I didn't want to have to deal with parking with anybody else. I didn't want to have to move my car because someone else in the apartment complex, you know, is parked behind me. You know, I wrote a very specific list. I was really, really particular about it. And I remember there were times where, like, I mean, after looking and looking, I was just like, oh, well, I found something exactly like this, but, you know, it's not in the same area, or maybe it's a bit above my budget. And I just was like, you know, compromising, because I was looking for months. And after a while, I was just like, no, don't shift. Like, don't do it. Don't shift. Stick to what it is. Stick to what you want. Do what it is. Like, stick to your list. Your list will be met. And I would say in the same vein, you know, and especially because I also like prayed on my list about my apartment. I think, and I believe that it's important that you pray on your list about, like, you know, whoever you want to marry and your spouse and stuff like that. So let that list, like, battle it out with you and God. Like, there are going to be some things that God's going to say, get that off, put this on, get that off. And the more you spend time with the Lord, the more your heart is going to be able to understand what you need. I started this process in February. It's June, and I found a match for the apartment in May. Yeah, and it was just a really long, tiring experience. So that's just like for a place to live. Like, imagine now trying to find like a life partner. That's the goal of like marriage. It's supposed to be a life partner. So no matter how long it takes, I would say, like, just take your time. Take your time. Like, don't rush into it. People say this all the time, but don't rush into it. Wait till you find your perfect match. Like, the person that's meant for you, it will just be like this. It'll feel like home. And that's the way I feel like at my apartment now. I feel like it's home. You know, I'm still moving and all that, but whenever I go there, I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. I hope this was helpful. I know it's very bizarre. People are like, oh, how the hell can looking for an apartment correlate with finding a spouse or picking a spouse? But I think it's very, very similar, and I think I learned a lot. And yeah, I'm praying for all of you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Do you guys like my hair? Comment down below if you like my hair. Comment down below if you think I should do more pixie cuts. Let me know what you want me to talk about next.